This is Harry Hieke. This is a West Side Class J that I upgraded for Dave Gale. It started out as a West Side, and the idea was to make it as good or better than the Key model. The West Side is a very good runner, whereas the Key model is said to have had running problems. On the other hand, the Key model had a great deal more detail. So the object here was to increase the detail level of the West Side while retaining its running qualities. There will be 3 videos total. One of the left side, which is this one of the right side, and then there'll be one with the engine disassembled, showing the mechanism, lights, and interior details, etc. Okay, starting with the smoke box front. This whole casting was remachined to a circular smoke box front. The 2 indentations in the boiler were punched out and made round. The pump assemblies were moved forward to clear the smoke box front. Next, individual bolts were indexed, drilled, and added to the smoke box front. These were double nut and bolt castings from Precision Scale. Next, a keystone from Jim Williams was added on a tri-form mount. It was chosen because it's an etched front as opposed to the solid front that was originally on the engine. A new manhole was machined, and all of the individual dogs actually work, and they're spring fed from the rear, which will be shown on the final video. So both the manhole opens up and the smoke box front opens. The aftercooler assembly was changed to show an open screen with cooling pipes behind the screen. This was a Precision Scale casting. Precision Scale grab irons, headlight mount were added. The stack was a casting of my own pattern and fabrication. It has 4 Venturis in it. This was originally made for one of Gennavario's engines, and I machined it because it's the same size as a Pennsy stack, and simply remachined it and made some slight modifications to it. All of the stanchions are Precision Scale Pennsy castings. Some extra valves are added. Any pipe that was lagged on the prototype was hand lagged with shim brass, as is shown here. And then I painted them in a contrasting color, which was grimy black, to stand out from the actual dark Brunswick of the engine. I added all new washouts. I added 8-inch washouts to the main boiler, and then Pennsy plug type washouts whenever necessary. The air pumps have full plumbing, both steam and air, although it's almost impossible to see it, unfortunately. The cylinders were modeled without covers. So they were machined, indexed, and bolt holes were drilled, and double nut washer castings were added to both the main cylinder and the valve cylinder. They're not showing very well in this light. Another small valve was added, relief valve was added here. Adjustment nuts and elbow discharge lines were added to the top of the cylinder as shown here, and double nut castings were added all around the flange of the steam inlet pipe, which are again kind of hard to see. Moving to the sand dome, I added mounting bolts all the way around it. New hatches from my own patterns, and the steam hatch is full of NBW castings. That light's a little better. Again, the pin and clevis handrail stanchions were added throughout. The air lines to the sanders were added, little 3/4 inch lines, and they were all painted a red hose color for contrast. Going to the running gear, drivers 2, 3, 4, and 5 had 1/16 inch counterweight extension soldered to the driver. This required making offset washers for the pins and then an offset washer for the actual bolts so that the rods would still clear. The first driver did not have an extension added to it, and the front drive rod, side rod, is slightly S-shaped to clear the crosshead, which really can't be seen in this picture, for the mechanism to run smoothly. The mechanism will be shown in volume 3 in operation. Coming down, we see a lag booster pipe, a starter valve, an oil separator, and booster line. And the air line, or the water line on the trailing truck, is lagged, as can be seen here, with fittings. Now the journals were made to operate on the trailing truck, and a lubricated bearing was added to the rear of the truck after an opening was machined for it. The greatest area of detail in this engine was the firebox area. As you can see, there are numerous stay bolts here and on the front of it. I'm going to see if I can get the light down here to show those front ones a little better. There you go. So there are the front stay bolts, the side stay bolts. There were some hand lag pipes added, as well as the smoke consumers were raised approximately a 1/16 inch from the side of the firebox. The ash pans had rivet detail added to it, and then a clean out pipe was added with a valve, a trigger, and a spout assembly. Lag pipes leading down to the 2 hose control lines with valves. The turret was opened up. Turret valves were added, and hinges were added. New cleanouts 8-inch cleanouts were added throughout. On the cab front, a working, there it goes, a working deflector window of my own pattern was added on both sides. The cab hatch, which is a typical Pennsy hatch of my own pattern, as well as a drip deflector and a cinder deflector, all lost wax castings by Stevenson Preservations, which came from my patterns, were added. Here's a little more light on it. Okay, going to the tender. The drawbar is a double drawbar as on the prototype. A stoker channel was added beneath the cab, and it's a working stoker channel, as you can see. On the tender, new piano wire hand grabs are added. Water lines are added underneath with valves. A scoop control was added, and the two doors for the water leg were added, hinged, and made to work. There's a scoop control in there. On the body of the tender, a door was added with hinges, and inside is a stoker motor. A steam line for doghouse heat is added on the side, and again hand lagged, as well as special trucks which were purchased from Bill Davis. These will show up better in video 3. Moving now to the tender top. A coal load was fabricated I don't know if I can get it out with one hand, with a brass bottom and a sculpted top, and the interior of the coal compartment has the lateral stays, and on the bottom has a auger. On the tender top, I believe it's an Overland antenna system was added with transmitters, receiver, precision scale, working hatches were added to replace the single lateral hatch which came with it. The doghouse was removed. The actual antenna can be removed to free the doghouse. The doghouse bolts on, and the doghouse was made to have a working door, then reinstalled. Some other details were Jim Williams lease plates, Jim Williams number plates, builder's plates, and on the rear are two Jim Williams. There's a lease plate, tender plate, and another tender plate down there. Back here we can see a brass removable cab curtain that was installed, and by moving the tender we can see a dump line and a signal control line up here. And that is Volume 1.